after Michelangelo's death in the final battle in the Last Ronin storyline, Casey Marie decides to keep Mikey's legacy alive by training the next generation of turtles, following Master Splinter's old journal. But keeping 4 adolescent turtles focused was harder than she thought. During a brawl, Odin complained about a stomachache, Mojar defended him, and Uno insulted his weight. April intervened, reminding Casey that the turtles were just babies, and training them was not Michelangelo's last wish. Casey disagreed, fearing the power struggle that followed the Foot Clan's defeat. April advised her to take baby steps, citing a passage in Splinter's journal about the value of failure. Casey remembered another passage: defeat is only real if you let it be real. Flashback to when Mikey went to Japan after Splinter and his brothers died. Michelangelo had given up and climbed a mountain to end his life, but he heard his father's voice urging him to get up, and he remembered the moment he almost gave up during a final battle with the Foot Clan. Splinter reminded him that he was not a coward, and that fighting the Foot Clan was his family's destiny. For 3 years, Mikey found temporary meditation and peace in the mountains, thanks to his father's journals, until the day he was attacked by local gangsters. Michelangelo got up and fought the attackers, killing all but one. After the battle, he realised his destiny was not to die in the mountains or to live in false peace. His destiny was to seek redemption for his family by continuing the war against the Foot Clan. As Michelangelo descended the mountain, he found a nearby village in flames. It was the attackers who raided his sanctuary. They accused him of being a monster and attacked him again. Michelangelo used his brother's weapons to defend himself and killed all the attackers. An injured villager calls out to Mikey, telling him he needs to go before the Deathworm's army arrives. He says he can't face them alone. Alone? That word caused Michelangelo to pause, but really, when was he truly ever alone? That's the moment when Michelangelo sees the ghosts of his dead brothers at his side. The next generation of turtles are currently in training, going about their duties cleaning the dojo. Suddenly, Odin drops a glass and sighs, knowing that Sensei will be mad. Yi tells him that he should have been mopping instead of drinking. Odin then asks the others if they can help him clean it up because he's scared of sharp objects. Everyone tells him to do it on his own because they're busy with their own tasks. Odin begins to cry. Casey Marie steps out and asks what's going on. Odin apologises and asks if she's mad about breaking his cup. She tells him that she's not mad, but wants to tell them a story. Her father once worked with the Ninja Turtles, and they were sent on an important mission to stop the Foot Clan from stealing things that didn't belong to them. During the mission, her father saw some other bad guys getting ready to be mean to a poor lady. It made her father really mad, and he wanted to help the lady. Even though they knew it would mess up their mission, the Turtles followed. The point being that sometimes you can get so caught up in what you're supposed to be doing that we ignore what we should be doing, like helping out one of our teammates when they're in trouble. Jump back to the past. Michelangelo's story is not over. His brothers all appear to him as ghosts and set out to find the leader of the raid group that attacked the small village, the Deathworm. Though he thought it may only take a few days, his search turned into 3 years. The constant jabbering of his dead companions made it hard to separate the past from the present, and it didn't seem like they were in any hurry to go away. And as lonely as he was, Michelangelo wasn't in any hurry to let them go. But still, that didn't stop them from arguing and dredging up the past. Months of aimless wandering, Leo asked exactly what they were doing. Aren't they supposed to be looking for Deathworm? But at this point, Mikey had enough. He yelled that there isn't any we in this. He is getting ready to go further south as soon as the sun goes down, and they are dead. Ralph asks him what's that got to do with you hiking your sorry butt all the way down to Japan. Michelangelo shouts, it's got everything to do with everything. I'm here because somebody started a war that killed everyone I ever cared about, including yourself. Raphael replied, yeah, maybe I did make a mistake after that ambush. Maybe that mistake started things rolling downhill for us. But we all knew it was coming one way or another. Us against the Foot Clan. Like Master Splinter said. He's right, we're dead and you're not. And neither is Hiroto. He's the last of his family just like you. Which means that you're the only one left to finish what Ralph started. What are you saying then, Mikey? Mikey looks at him. I know where I'm going now. Maybe deep down, I always knew. It's time to go back to New York City. To stand or fall. Now you're talking, Mikey. Am I? Because it's getting harder to tell these days. Mikey found himself unable to return to New York City in his current state. Leo's observations were accurate, and Mikey's skills had grown rusty. It was then that Leo proposed seeking out their father's secret clan elite training camp, located nearby. The journey proved challenging for Mikey, as his mutated appearance attracted unwanted attention from Deathworm's henchmen. To reach the camp, he secretly boarded a cruise ship bound for Russia via Korea. While conversing with his brothers discreetly, a passenger eavesdropped and inquired about his conversation. Unknown to Mikey, this passenger was yet another minion of Deathworm, who had issued a capture order for Michelangelo due to his past actions at the village. Mikey took care of the goons, but his peaceful trip was cut short. He had to swim the remainder of the way to the hidden island, a task much arduous than anticipated. Miraculously, he survived without drowning. Exhausted, Mikey encountered an elderly man and his dog upon washing up on the island's shore. He lacked the energy to respond but found refuge in the old man's guest hut. After several days of rest, Mikey awakened and inquired about his location. The old man introduced himself as Master Yip, leader of the clan, accompanied by his faithful dog Nori. Once again, Mikey had regained his strength and readiness. His training commenced. Master Yip guided him back to the basics, teaching him how to fight using only his fists. After nearly 18 months of rigorous training, the time came for Mikey to venture forth once again. Master Yip imparted a final piece of wisdom to Mikey. He acknowledged the tragedy that befell his family, his self-imposed exile to Japan, his flight from Deathworm, and his quest for vengeance against the Foot Clan. However, Master Yip emphasised the importance of resolving the internal battles before pursuing a bloody vendetta. With this insight, he posed a thought-provoking question. Could Mikey honourably confront one enemy after fearfully retreating from another? By the time the night fell, Michelangelo managed to row himself to South Korea, or rather, the unified Korean Republic. While gathering information due to his time away, Mikey learned that there was a massive earthquake in China not long ago. The destruction took out a lot of China's nuclear facilities, turning most of the country into an irradiated wasteland. It was also hard to tell where the crime stopped and where the law started. It all seemed to just blend together, which made finding Deathworm all the more difficult. After weeks of sleeping in alleyways and eating from dumpsters, Mikey decided he had had enough. Deathworm was more of a ghost than his brothers, and if he didn't get some real food in him, he was going to be one soon too. So Mikey sold half of his equipment for a few bucks to get himself a hot meal in a warm place where he could sit and think. While bickering with his brothers, he noticed one of the men playing pool had the same tattoo as all of Deathworm's men. He confronted that man asking, "What does it mean? Who are you?" "The green freak you've been looking for." Using his newly refined training, Mikey made short work of the men. A broken pool stick here, a crack of the wrist there, but Mikey disarmed the man with the broken beer bottle and held it to the man's throat. "Where is Deathworm?" And easily enough, he got the answer. Mongolia. After that, Mikey gathered up what gear he had left, borrowed an old wreck and set up for Mongolia. Leo asked him if he had a plan, and Mikey told him yes. Go to Mongolia, find Deathworm, take him down, and go for revenge. Good. But really, I just hope that we make it there in one piece. We all know you suck at driving, Mikey. Jumping back to the future. The new turtles are about to have lunch when Yi accidentally cut herself using April's tools unsupervised, thinking she could fix things by herself. Casey dresses the wound while April sits everyone at the table and tells the younglings a tale. After the death of Raphael, a gang called the Purple Dragons were causing trouble. April decided to take it upon herself to investigate, but because she didn't have enough training, April got caught. Luckily, Casey Jones and the gang showed up just in time. The moral of the story is, even though her heart was in the right place, the mind and body weren't quite ready for the job. Whenever possible, get the help you need first. Returning to Inner Mongolia, Michelangelo found himself in a perilous situation. His vision had been taken away, rendering him defenseless as his assailants tied him up. Struggling was futile. A blow to the back of his head sent him into unconsciousness, leaving him helpless in a cart. As masked figures led him away, Michelangelo pondered their motives. They were heading toward their leader, Nguyen, and Mikey couldn't fathom what they wanted from him. Memories of his journey through Mongolia with his brothers flooded his thoughts. It had been a challenging trek, especially after crossing the border from China, a land ravaged by a recent catastrophic earthquake. However, things took a dark turn when their vehicle veered off the road. Michelangelo's eyes, already weakened from the high radiation levels, while travelling across the barren wastelands, seemed to have given up entirely. He closed them briefly, and upon reopening them, he was greeted by total darkness, the predicament he currently found himself in. In the presence of their tribe's leader, the old man named Nguyen, Michelangelo explained his mission. He was pursuing his sworn enemy, Deathworm, who was rumoured to be in Mongolia. But now, with his sight stolen, the situation grew increasingly complicated. Surprisingly, Nguyen revealed they shared a common enemy in Deathworm. Nguyen, chief of both their tribe and another, offered his apologies for the earlier treatment, but justified it as a necessary precaution. He explained that despite his blindness, he sensed a noble warrior within Michelangelo. An invitation to join them as a soldier and a free man followed. Day by day, Michelangelo became intertwined with the tribe, with Batu's assistance easing his acceptance among the others. One night, sitting by the fire with the chief, Batu enabled Michelangelo to see in a different way, using his other senses to interpret the world. Blinded yet determined, Michelangelo began to train vigorously. He mastered various skills, from wielding a sword to riding blind in the dark. In this new way of life, he found not only a new clan but also a family, much like his old one, though plagued by the spectre of Deathworm. Batu explained their mission to disarm their enemies, seizing weapons such as guns and tonfas. Michelangelo stumbled upon a unique weapon that seemed to radiate a strange energy. With relentless practice, he became proficient in its use. One fateful evening, while seeking solace in a lake, bullets shattered the brief silence. Deathworm's army had arrived, wreaking havoc. Michelangelo, relying on his sharpened senses, moved through the chaos, dodging bullets and taking down adversaries. However, a sudden stab to his shoulder and an electric shock finally brought back his eyesight. But what he saw was a grim tableau of death and destruction among the people he had grown to love. Michelangelo's vision had returned, but it was a side of devastation. Back to the future in New York City, the next generation of turtles are now on the brink of adolescence. Engaged in a training simulation aimed at infiltrating a secure facility, Uno was unable to wait for the rest of the team to complete their mission. Fueled by impatience and a desire to expedite their success, Uno impulsively entered the fray, resulting in the downfall of the entire group. As April ushered the rest of the turtles to safety, Uno and Casey Marie found themselves in conversation. Uno expressed his frustration with what he perceived as the team's sluggishness. He believed they could have breached the facility faster and saved a hostage, but their actions had led to their capture instead. Casey Marie took this opportunity to share a valuable lesson she had learned the hard way. She recounted a past incident when, during an operation on Roosevelt Island to confront Stockman, she had disregarded the plan to aid Michelangelo. While she had saved him, she had endangered the other resistance soldiers under her leadership. Mikey's words of admonition, terrible discipline but excellent initiative, had eventually made sense to her. It was about understanding when to take charge and when to let others lead, acknowledging that true achievement stemmed from selflessness, not selfishness. Uno was undeniably a formidable fighter, but Casey Marie stressed the importance of teamwork and the responsibility they held towards their fellow brothers and sisters, Mojo and Odin, who had handled their part of the mission admirably. The team had counted on Uno to watch their backs, but his impulsiveness had let them down. Meanwhile, Michelangelo found himself in a life-or-death cage match. After enduring 3 years of relentless violence and loss, he was now forced to face his only friend, Shaka, with freedom hanging in the balance. It was a kill-or-be-killed scenario, a stark reminder of the choices he had made. He had lost his family, friends and closest allies, all due to his past decisions. In the aftermath of a crushing defeat by Deathworm, he had been imprisoned, fitted with a microbomb in his neck as a fail-safe measure. Mikey was subjected to brutal treatment and forced into cage fights with other mutants, sharing a cell with a fellow prisoner named Shaka. Together, they forged an unlikely friendship and hatched a plan to escape this twisted gladiator training camp. Shaka revealed the grim reality they faced, fighting to the death for entertainment and profit, with no escape options. To earn their freedom, they had to survive the cage fights, where names were drawn randomly, and mutants battled mutants, or humans fought humans in a single elimination format. It was a grim existence. Now, faced with Shaka in the ultimate showdown, they engaged in a poignant exchange, where Shaka urged Mikey to promise one thing: to seek justice not just for himself, but for Shaka as well. In a heart-wrenching turn of events, Shaka sacrificed himself, hurling an axe at Boss Finn, the cruel overseer, triggering an explosive end to his own life. Michelangelo watched in sorrow as yet another friend was taken from him. Michelangelo gazes down at Shaka's lifeless body, a moment tinged with an unsettling calm. Finn, wielding her megaphone, triumphantly exclaims, "We have a winner!" However, her proclamation is met not with cheers, but with simmering resentment from the crowd, who long for a final showdown. Mikey's gaze pierces Shaka, the fiery rage within him palpable, as he reaches for a fallen sword, brandishing it with menace. Slashing the blade with reckless abandon, severing an unfortunate spectator's ear. However, Finn's guards have received her orders, and they close in, firing tasers that strike Mikey's head, sending him crashing to the ground. Later, Mikey awakens with a gasp, his surroundings unfamiliar. With swift reflexes, Mikey seizes the doctor's arm, twisting it until agonized screams escape the man's lips. Finn intervenes, urging Mikey to calm down, and explaining the doctor's intention to deactivate the bombs in his neck. "You'll get your reward as our newest champion," she assures him. "A win's a win, and a promise is a promise." After a tense moment, Mikey releases the doctor, allowing him to disable the deadly devices. Finn's goons approach, returning Mikey's belongings to him. He hurriedly rummages through his pack, locating Splinter's old journal exactly where he left it. "Once you're dressed, you're free to go wherever you wish," Finn says, preparing to leave. Yet Mikey seizes his sai, acting swiftly and wrapping an arm around her throat, the blade's tip menacingly pressing against her neck. Finn hesitates for a brief moment before bursting into laughter. Finn finally relents, revealing that the last word on Deathworm was that he had set up shop in Italy. Mikey releases her and makes his exit from the camp. As he departs, Finn's goons question why they didn't kill him, to which she smiles cryptically. "Oh, but we have killed him. The journey I sent him on, he's as good as dead." Michelangelo embarks on a solitary quest across the world, haunted by memories and spirits of those he failed in the past, but he remains steadfast, ignoring their persistent presence, even as his brother's voices fill his mind. Ultimately, he finds himself in Italy, tracking down Deathworm's camp, situated within the Roman Colosseum. The spirits of his brothers acknowledge his impressive journey, and Leo inquires about Mikey's plan. Mikey, ever pragmatic, retrieves his gear and dons a dark mask, addressing his brothers with a hint of irritation. "There's only one plan. Same plan we've had for the last 15 years. You three stand around running your mouths while I take care of business." With a grappling hook, he ascends a sign, gaining an elevated view of Deathworm's training camp. As plans formulate in his mind, he recalls a piece of wisdom from Ralph. "Sometimes you got to do what you gotta do." Mikey clutches one of Leo's katanas and a handful of smoke bombs, tossing them into the camp. Chaos ensues as trainees cough and sputter amidst the smoke screen. Mikey deftly maneuvers through the disoriented trainees, his blade slicing through those who dare to challenge him, all the while demanding Deathworm's presence. The smoke clears, revealing a formidable warrior who steps forward and claims Mikey as his adversary. In Mongolian he declares, "He's mine." Mikey nods in agreement. The colossal warrior launches himself at Mikey, but Mikey manages to evade the assault. However, the blade finds its unintended mark in the man Mikey believed to be Deathworm, embedding itself in his head. Perplexed, Mikey mutters, "Wait, what?" Too easy. But an unexpected voice emerges from behind him, remarking casually, "Yeah, it was." In an instant, an attack strikes Mikey's head, sending him sprawling to the ground and causing him to lose his weapon. The voice continues, chastising the fallen warrior for his reckless approach. "How many times did I tell Kuyag that charging in like a feral beast would be the end of him?" Mikey manages to turn his head and encounters a thin, middle-aged man. "No way, you're Deathworm!" Unyielding, Deathworm presses the attack, revealing his knowledge of Mikey as the mysterious menace that his men encountered in the mountains years ago. "Now here you are, seeking vengeance for something I barely remember," he chuckles. Deathworm proceeds to pick up Mikey's fallen sai, turning to face the turtle. "Do not be deceived by my appearance." As the battle rages on, with blades clashing and a fierce exchange of blows, Deathworm acknowledges Mikey's resilience, ordering his men not to interfere. Mikey retaliates, drawing the taser tonfas acquired from the Mongolian tribe, his second family. "Do you remember these? They remember you," Mikey snarls, pressing forward with the tonfas, their electrifying energy coursing through Deathworm's body. He collapses to the ground, defeated. Mikey confronts the remaining thugs who had served Deathworm, challenging them with a declaration. "Your boss is dead. Anyone want to lead?" The men flee, leaving Mikey standing alone in the arena. He retrieves the big warrior's coat, donning it before making his exit from the city. His mission of vengeance is far from over, and he silently slips aboard a tanker ship, preparing for the long journey back to New York. Hiroto Oroku is next. Back to the future now, the new turtles are preparing for battle, guided by Casey, who has become their mentor. With determination, Casey readies her students to defend the city, standing with them in solidarity. It's now their turn to protect the city, the same way as the original turtles did a generation before. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit the notification bell. With that said, hope to see you here next time.